The next weight category we're going to move to is the 150-gram Fairyweight. This is a relatively new weight class for us. These are a third of the size of these other robots, and can be quite challenging to design and build as a result of the tiny pieces that are involved. And yet, make no mistake, they can still be quite dangerous. Andrea here in the red corner with Nibbles did a great job in the last one. That was a very nimble robot, and that spinning disc on top was able to rip its opponent apart quite well. And she'll be going up against Dennis in the blue corner with Mr. Do. In the past, this one used to be a vertical spinner as well, but now it's got a very low, wide wedge, which might work out well. We'll see if he can get it underneath of Nibbles. Drivers are ready, competitors are ready. We will go in 3, 2, 1, fight. Nibbles coming in there. It looks like the left. Oh, and the controls are having a bit of issues there. There we go. Now it's moving in. There's the weapon spun up. Sounds just like a dentist air drill there. Believe me, it hurts like one too when it hits those robots. Oh, look at that. Right up to the ceiling and over twice. My goodness. Flipping Mr. Do onto its head. It is still able to move in that configuration, but at great difficulty. As I said, it's a small weapon, but very powerful, especially when it only has to throw something a third of a pound. Barely as large as your hamburger. And yet it's able to throw it a good 4 feet in the air as Mr. Do pins Nibbles up against the side for a moment. Andrea spinning the weapon back up on Nibbles. Ramping up over top of Mr. Do into the corner. He's just going to hold it there for a moment just to make sure he counts some points on that one. Another hard hit, flipping up to the roof, skidding all the way across the arena. So much power in that weapon. And every time you'll notice that when it hits, the weapon stops dead. That means all that energy went into its opponent, which is exactly what you want to do. And Mr. Do's wedge now somewhat bent, but still functioning. Still, that weapon did manage to do quite a tweak on the wedge, which is very important for her, actually. He wants to prevent that wedge from getting underneath her, and now it keeps going up on top of her, which is perfect, because now it'll direct it into her weapon, right where it's going to hurt him. Of course, Dennis, a very capable and experienced driver, doing the best he can with what he's got in order to drive Nibbles around and towards one of the hazards or into a wall, certainly winning the pushing match in this case. Almost certainly more what it's designed to do, since it is simply a wedge design. Nibbles bounces slightly off the red hazard there, trying to get out of the corner. Mr. Do getting flipped upside down as Andrea turns the weapon on Nibbles. Another hard hit into the wall, up into the top. My goodness, just keeps hitting this thing, and now Mr. Do is starting to get stuck. I think one of the wheels might be slightly bent, and certainly with that bent wedge, it's going to start getting high-sided when it's upside down like that. We have less than a minute to go. Nibbles doing a small but certainly important amount of damage to Mr. Do at this point, as Mr. Do pins her into the corner for a moment. That wedge still working despite being tweaked as it is. Both competitors showing lots of aggression here, trying to go into each other one after another. 30 seconds left in the fight. Both still showing lots of ability to continue. And Andrea currently trying to win, but failing, unfortunately, at the pushing match. Definitely not her strong suit with this robot. That weapon is what it's all about, and so far it's done a lot. 15 seconds remaining. Mr. Do bouncing in the blue hazard. I think he was trying to maybe get right-sided, but unable to. 7. Just about a time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. That's the end of the fight. Great job. Both competitors going the full 3 minutes.
Andrea, does your weapon work?
Battery.
Can you spin it up for us?
No, battery's dead.
No. So just checking to see what's going on with the robots there. Damage is important. Even if it's in a collision, you can score it against yourself depending on how it goes. And Andrea's weapon not able to spin up, saying that the battery seems to be dead at this point. And that does happen with these robots. They're really only designed for a certain number of hits. We know we're only going 3 minutes, and you want to save as much weight as you can. So the spinners especially tend to lose battery power before the 3 minutes is even up, with the hope that they'll disable their opponent long before the match ends. Judges making their final decision here as they add up their scores. It's a split decision, but the win will go to Dennis with Mr. Do. Congratulations, Dennis.
So